Hi, this is Rudy Jones of PalmettoStateBaseball.com. Welcome to the South Carolina College Baseball Scoreboard for Thursday, March 13th, and a look at the schedule for Friday, March 14th through Sunday, March 16th. There were only two games involving state schools played on Thursday. It was Morris playing the back end of back-to-back doubleheaders down at the University of Fort Lauderdale. The Hornets lost the first game 11-1. Dylan Levy had a homer and a single for the Hornets in that game. And in game two, Fort Lauderdale won 20-3. Jabari Thompson had two hits for Morris in that game. The Hornets have now lost 20 straight games to open the season. I know Coach Paul is wanting to get some good news out of his team soon, so hopefully things will turn around for him before long. Moving on to Friday, conference play opens in the Southeastern Conference, the Sun Belt Conference, and the Big South Conference. And Clemson begins ACC play after not having a conference series in the first true week of conference schedule. Tigers, who have won 15 straight and are 17-1 overall, are at home against Notre Dame at 4 o'clock in Clemson. Notre Dame was swept by Wake Forest in this ACC opener last weekend, but got a couple of wins over at Winthrop in midweek before moving on over to Clemson. South Carolina opens with a 7 o'clock home game against Oklahoma in the Southeastern Conference. Of course, the Sooners and Texas are the two newcomers to the league this year. It's a tough schedule for the Gamecocks. All 10 of the teams they play in the conference have been ranked at one point or the other during this season. But the Sooners are the first up for them. Carolina has decided to make a change in this pitching rotation. Brandon Stone is going to be the Friday night starter. He replaces Matthew Becker, who struggled in the start last week against Morehead State. Becker's kind of been up and down during his career. He had a brilliant outing against Texas as a freshman, but he's never really seemed to be able to harness it to just have consistently good outings. And usually when he can't throw strikes is when he struggles, and that was the case last week. Anyway, he's going to be a part of the bullpen, and he could be very effective out of there if he can throw strikes. Elsewhere involving Division I teams on Friday, Coastal Carolina opens Sun Belt Conference play with a 6 o'clock home game against Georgia Southern. In the Big South, USC Upstate is at home for a series against Radford. First pitch is at 3 o'clock over in Spartanburg. And a couple of 6 o'clock games. Charleston is at preseason coach's favorite High Point. And Winthrop is at home against Presbyterian over in Rock Hill. Now, the Southern Conference and Coastal Athletic Association do not begin conference play yet. So Wofford, Citadel, and College of Charleston are all in non-conference play again this weekend. Wofford is at Elon for a series. First game's at 4 o'clock on Friday. The Citadel is at home for a 6 o'clock game against Kennesaw State to begin that series. And across the Cooper River, College of Charleston is entertaining Dartmouth at 6 o'clock. Those games all continue as single games on Saturday and Sunday, weather permitting. Moving over to NCAA Division II, several teams made adjustments to their schedule because of weather issues or weather concerns, and there may be more coming, so just keep an eye at PalmettoStateBaseball.com or follow me on Twitter at PalmettoBase, and I'll provide updates as best I can. North Greenville, ranked number 1 this week in the National Collegiate Baseball Writers Division II poll, has moved to a 3 o'clock doubleheader at home against Barton. They were supposed to play 2 on Saturday, but it's now 3 o'clock at Friday up in Tigerville. Also, Erskine and Southern Wesleyan will now play a doubleheader at 1 o'clock over in Central. They were supposed to have played it at Saturday originally. And Anderson's game at Tusculum is now a 1 o'clock doubleheader up in eastern Tennessee. By the way, the Erskine Southern Wesleyan game, if I did not mention it, or doubleheader, is at 1 o'clock. Elsewhere involving NCAA Division II teams, Carson Newman, which is ranked number 24 in this week's writers poll, is at Limestone at 5 o'clock. Francis Marion visits Belmont Abbey at 5 o'clock. Augusta is at Claflin at Mirmo Field at 6. Columbus State and Lander are playing at 6 o'clock at Dolney Stadium in Greenwood. Flagler is at USC Aiken at 6. Mars Hill is at Newberry at 6. North Georgia is at USC Beaufort at 6. And Wingate is at Coker at 6 o'clock down in Hartsville. In games involving NAIA schools, Spartanburg Methodist has only 2 games this weekend. They're playing a 3 o'clock doubleheader at home against Toccoa Falls. Elsewhere, Columbia International begins a series with Johnson University out of Tennessee at the 4 o'clock game at Miller Field in Columbia. By the way, Johnson is coached by former Tennessee coach Dave Serrano. That is an Appalachian Athletic Conference game for the Rams. Elsewhere in junior college play, USC Union is at Lancaster at noon. All three junior college series were moved up a day. They moved their Sunday game to Friday to try to miss the weather. Like I said, USC Lancaster at noon. USC Sumter is at Florence Darlington Tech at noon. And Gaston College is at USC Salkehatchie also they're at 2 o'clock, on that. Elsewhere, Bob Jones has a series against Alice Lloyd out of Kentucky. They're going to be playing somewhere in the Tri-Cities area of Tennessee. Bob Jones has the series listed as being in Johnson City. Alice Lloyd has the series being played in Kingsport. Now, that's the Tri-Cities area of Tennessee is about halfway between the two schools, but I could never confirm where they were playing. Who knows? Maybe they're going to move over to Bristol and split the difference. However, then do they choose Bristol, Tennessee, or Bristol, Virginia? When I find out where they're playing, I'll let you know. Voorhees begins a series on Saturday at Rust University with a doubleheader, and also Benedict is playing Savannah State. They start out with a doubleheader on Saturday at noon. They'll play a Sunday game as well. And I should mention that Bob Jones has added a second game on Saturday, so it's not going to be a 3-game series, a doubleheader against easier for me to say, Alice Lloyd at 1 o'clock on Saturday. Speaking of Bob Jones, on Thursday I posted a feature at PalmettoStateBaseball.com on what the Bruins went through when the program was dropped by the school over financial concerns back in September. But they, not long after that, they reversed course and decided to have a team again. They lost their head coach, Kyle Morrison, who was an assistant, took over, and he had to do a lot of work to recruit enough guys to field a team. And they, again, I just talked about what they're going on there. And Conley Burke, one of the better players on the team, I also talked to. I'll be providing updates on these games and others throughout the weekend on PalmettoStateBaseball.com. I'll also do updates on Twitter, and just be sure to follow my accounts, and I'll let you know if I hear of any rainouts or weather-related changes. I'm just doing this on the fly. If I left out a team that you're following, I apologize for that. I'll try to do better next time. But keep following me, and it's Rudy Jones of PalmettoStateBaseball.com saying good night, God bless.